Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be explaining. Let me open this. So in this video, I'll be explaining a topic called list, tuples, and dictionary in Python. So first of all, what are lists and what is list used for? So lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Lists are one of the built-in data type in Python used to store collections of data. When we are working with a variable name, probably you are assigning name equals to this, you can only assign a single item to a variable name. But now when it comes to list allow you to assign a multiple element to a certain variable. And just like this, you can see here that name equals to ijan. This is just like a variable, and this ijan is a string. So you can see that this only allows us to assign just a single item here to this variable. But when it comes to list allow you to assign multiple. And don't forget that anything inside the square bracket is called list, in which this is so a symbol to represent list is a square bracket. And you can see now that my list of a number equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma this. So these are multiple items put in a square bracket, which is list. And that's one of the advantage of a list allow you to put a multiple item in it. So you can see here that we have 1 2 3. So these are just multiple items inside this list, and if you print it out, we can see the result here. So also my list of item, and also one of the unique properties of a list is that a list, we have different data type. We have integer, we have float, we have string. So list allow multiple data type. Just like you can see, beans is a string data type, 3.0 is a float data type, 80 is an integer, and this is also a string. So list allow multiple item. And also we can print the type. We can see that's just what I just explained here. And we can see, and also let's not forget that even anything you put inside the quotation will change. Even if the data type is integer or float, once it's inside the quotation, it's going to change the nature of that data type to a string, which is text type. So we can see here that just because 40.0 is a float data type, but just because it's in a quotation, it's changed to this. So that's just like you altering a data type. And list item. So list items are order, they are changeable, and they allow duplicate. Unlike other data type, list items, they are in order. So that is the order way you input it into it. That's when you print it out, that's the same order that you're going to see your result. Just like this, apple is the first element here, followed by orange, followed by mango. And immediately we print it out, we can see that apple came first, followed by orange, and followed by mango. So is just in the same order. So there is no change in the order. So list items are in ordered. And also when the other property, which is changeable, so anything inside the list can be changed. Just like we know that apple has index of 0, orange has index of 1, mango has index of 2. So now we can change any of this item to another thing. So just like we can see here, let me run this. So we using this one here, that shows we are changing orange. We want to change, okay, we want to print out some of them. Just like I said, apple has 0, orange has 1, mango has 2 index of 2. So if you print 1, this is the index number 1 is orange. And if you print So now we know that our index number one is orange. Apple has index of 0, orange has index of 1, and mango has index of 2. So changing like the property of list, that is, it can be changeable. So placing the index of 0 equals to mango here. If I run it now and I rerun it, so I can see that this index 0, we can see here that Apple appears to be first. Just because I've changed it here, I can see now that I have mango instead of apple. That is, anything inside the list can be changed. So that's just what I try to show in that code. And also a string value too. You can actually check the index of a string value, which is, if you are starting from the front, we do start with 0. A is 0, B is 1, A is, this small a is 1, is 2, Y is 3, 0 is 4, M is 5, and just like that. And if you start counting from the back, we do start with -1. So if we print this, you can see now that the index of 0 of this name is A. While you can just keep practicing it, and if I try to use print name, then I use -1, so you can see now that e fetch the last item here, just because we use -1. And if you are starting from the front, we use 0. You count the index from 0. So that's just it. As I've explained, changeable, one of the properties of a list, that is, anything inside the list is changeable. So just using this, printing this again, we have mango, we have orange, we have mango. So I can easily change, and I know that, like as I've explained, mango has index of 0, orange has 1, mango has 2. So I can easily change mango to pepper. So if I rerun it, you will see that pepper has replaced mango. That is, anything inside the list is changeable. Also duplicate. So you notice something here, that we have mango here. So that is, a value can be repeated while working with a list. So that's what duplicate means. A value can be repeated. And these are just fetching the so you using the index -1, as I explained earlier, -1 from the back. You being able, like, index work for the first one is 0, index of 0, orange is index of 1, and pepper index of 2. So if we try to count it from the back, just like -1, -2, -3, if we use -3 now, you see that this first mango is -3, just by counting as -1, -2, and -3. And if you can just see, -2, -2 now, -2 is orange. So we can also change it to apple, and if we run it, you will see that it has changed to apple. So we can see now that it has already changed to apple. And if we try that with set, you will see that it remove the duplicate. So there's no repetition here. But if it is list allow duplicate. So talking about set, anything inside a curly braces is called set. Just like this, can you see now, apple, and pepper. Just because he identified that we have two apple, set eliminate apple, and it print out apple once, then pepper. So anything inside the curly braces is called a set, and it can be in number. You can see here too, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it's set. The one of the beauty, or one of the uses of set, is that we use it to eliminate duplicate. And when you are working with a list does not eliminate duplicate, it allow duplicate. If we use list in this scenario, you will see that it's going to print everything out, but when you use the set help us to eliminate duplicate. So these are just, we can see now this printing. You can see here that using set it eliminates duplicate here, just giving us 1 2 3 4, just give us the unique value. While working with while working with list here inside this square bracket, when we print it out, you can see that it gave us the way it is instead of eliminating the duplicate. And this is just the type. Then also there's some built-in method that we do use with list. So we have append, extend, insert, pop, index, remove, clear, count and reverse. These are just built-in method that we use with list, and I'm going to show us how we can use them. So one of them is append. How can you use append, and what append means? Append means adding an element to the end of a list. We can see here that we have Python, Microsoft Excel, language and UI UX. So if we run it, we can see the output here. But provided we want to add an element to the end of that particular list, which is JavaScript, so you use append. The function of append is to add an element to the end of a list. So putting this JavaScript here, and this is just the syntax, dot append, then you are going to put the value inside the quotation mark and inside the bracket. So if I run it now, you will see that if I print it out, you will see that the last value here is UI UX, while the last here is JavaScript, just because we append JavaScript to the end of that list. So another function, another built-in method is extend. How can we use extend? You know, when we use append and extend work the same way, but append only append a certain element to the end of a list, but extend allow multiple elements. So when you want to add multiple elements at the end of a list, we use extend. But if you want to use if you want to add a single element to the end of a list, we use append. That's just the difference between them. So now we can see now that using .extend, we are able to add graphics, French and Spanish. But when it comes to append, you can only append a single element. So if I run it now, you will see that now after JavaScript, we have graphics, we have French and we have Spanish. Another built-in method is insert. So what insert does, and what is the difference, is that when we use insert, you know, when we are working with append, we can only add an element to the end of a list. But when it comes to insert, or probably when we are using extend too, we can only add it to the end of a list. But when it comes to insert, you can specify an index or put in a specific area. So you can specify where you want your element to be using insert, and we can see it here. So this we have 1 2 3 4 5 8 9 10. So here I can insert 6 and 7, just because 6 and 7 are missing here. So if I run this, and we can see now that I want to insert 7, then specifying the index to be 5. And what if we can still remember, this one has index of 0, 2 has index of 1, this has index of 2 3 4. Then I want to put it here, so I'm going to write 5 because here is index of 5. So putting that index, the first thing after using the insert, you have to know where the index is. So you use the index first, which is 5 comma 7. So then you run the cell, and we can see it now that we have, just because I run it twice, you can see that it added 7 in 2 times. So putting it in that position. So also we can insert, not only we can insert integer or float, or numbers. You can also insert a text type, which is a string. So running this, you can see now that we've inserted boy in after this 1 2 3. So we, just because I specified the index of 5, he is able to insert it at that particular position. So note the syntax. Then we have another built-in method called pop. What is the function of pop? Pop helps to remove an element at the end of a list. So now you can see print the names of courses in Meridian. We have Python, Microsoft Excel, we have language, we have UI/UX, we have JavaScript, we have graphics, we have French, and we have Spanish. Then if I click on, just because I specify 0 now, it's going to pop out, it's going to remove the first element. But if I don't specify the index, this 0 means index of 0, that is, remove the element in the position of 0. So if I don't use 0 here, it's going to remove the element at the end of my list. But just because I specify this, it's going to remove the first element, which is Python. So if I print it out now, I will see that Microsoft Excel that has index of 1 is the first, that is, the second element here became the first here, just because I've removed the first element by using pop method. That's the function of pop. It's used to remove an element in a list, and if you don't specify the index, it's going to remove the element at the end of a list. Let's take note of that. So talking about index, like what I've been explaining, index of 0 1, or starting from the back -1. So you can also use a built-in method of index if you are confused about knowing where the position of an element is. So you can use this as dot index and place any item you have. So if you use, just like for language, you can see that language has index of 1. And if I try using Microsoft Excel, let me use Microsoft Excel, and let's see the index of Microsoft Excel. So if I run this, you will see that it has index of 0. So index of 0 1 2 3 4. If I try to use JavaScript, let me try JavaScript. So if I try JavaScript, you will see that it has index of 3. This 0, this 1, this 2, and this 3. So also remove also works. The built-in method of remove, just like the name remove, is used to also remove an element in a list. So if we run this, you can see that we have Microsoft Excel language, UI/UX, JavaScript, this. Then if we use remove on this JavaScript, you will see that when we run it, you will not see JavaScript here. JavaScript is after UI/UX here, but immediately we use this built-in method remove, it help us to remove this JavaScript from our list. That's just the function of remove. You can see pop, when you specify the index, it's going to remove the element in that index, and if you don't specify, it's going to remove the element at the end of the list. But when it comes to remove, when it comes to built-in function remove, you have to put in the element for it to be able to remove it. Let's take note of the syntax. Then we also have the built-in method called clear. So here we have these different elements in the list. We have 1, 2, we have a, we have this. And what is the function of clear built-in method? It's going to help us to clear everything inside this particular this particular element, this particular list. So if I run it now, I'm able to see this, these are just elements inside this list. And once I use the built-in method clear, it's going to clear everything inside that list. And this is how we use it. You name the variable name, then dot clear, then put open bracket and close it in front of it. So if you don't do it this way, it's not going to work. So also another built-in method is count. How can you use count? We use count to count the 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 we use count to count how many time an element occur in a list. So now checking for graphics now, graphics only occurs one in this list. So using count the numbers of occurrence of an element inside a list, and if we try to count friends also, you can see that it occurs one. So now if this occurs more than this time, it's going to count. It's just like you can, especially duplicate, so you can use count to know the numbers of the occurrence of an element inside a list. And we have the built-in method reverse. So what does reverse does is going to reverse the item from backward to forward. Just like now we have window, mac os, we have different operating system which is window, mac os, linux. And if I called and here also we have institution, names of different institution. We have OAU, we have UNILAG, we have LASU, we have Covenant University, we have FUTA. So these are in one order. So immediately I called reverse function on them. You see that from here, FUTA is the last value here, footer is the last element here, and OAU is the first element here. Immediately I call reverse, it reverse this item, like it make it to start from footer and end with OAU, whereas OAU is the first element here and footer is the last element here. So what reverse does is, reverse built-in method is, it help us to reverse an item for in a backward of in a backward format, and also using it on the operating system too. You can see here that window is the first, then the last is linux, and you can see now that linux is the first while the window is the last. Then talking about tuples, note that anything inside a square bracket is called list, while anything inside a normal parenthesis is called tuple. And the difference between tuples and dictionary most of the time is, tuples does not, anything inside the tuple is like you cannot change it, they are immutable, and anything inside the list can be changed. So at times when you are working or you are writing a program that you know that if you made a mistake you need to go back to change it, don't use tuple, because once you use tuple you will not be allowed to change it again. They are not changeable. Any item in a tuple are unchangeable, that's why we call it immutable, whereas anything inside the list can be changed. So in tuples are immutable, meaning you cannot change items of tuples once it is assigned. There are only two tuple method, which we have count and index. So tuple does not really have much built-in method. We only have count and we only have index, and this is how they are being used. So if we run this cell, so now counting how many times python occurs in this tuple, you can see now that we use parenthesis for tuple and we use square bracket for list. So this count will help us to count the numbers of times that python occur, and we can see it here that it the output here is 3, and we can count it ourselves as 1, 2 and 3. So it's able to count the number of occurrence of python in that particular tuple. Then also so we try to use the count to count language too. So counting language, you can see that language occurs twice too. So that's just the functions of count. It's also the same as the functions of count, built-in method count for list. So now index, what can we use index for? So index is also used to check the position of an element in a tuple or a list. So checking for the position of Microsoft Excel, we can see that this has index of 0, 1 and 2. So Microsoft Excel here has index of 2, and if you check for UI UX, it has index of 5. If you count it ourselves, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see that it's very correct. So we use this built-in method index to check for the position of our element in a list or in a tuple. So telling us that anything inside the tuple cannot be changed. So if I try to run this, you will see that it said tuple object does not support item assignment. That is, you cannot assign anything to this. That is, you cannot change anything inside a tuple. Let's take note of that. And the last one is dictionary, and dictionary also has some set of built-in method, just like value, update, set default. We have pop item, pop queues, items, get, from keys, and copy. Then we have clear. These are built-in method of dictionary, and I'm going to explain how you can implement them one after the other. So starting from value. Value method return a view object. The view object contain the value of the dictionary as a list. The view object will reflect any change done to dictionary. And always note that anything inside the curly braces is set, and also anything inside the curly braces is also dictionary, but the difference is in dictionary we have keys and value, and dictionary is called key value pairs. Just like now, name and abayomi. Name is key while abayomi is value. So these are called key value pairs. That's just the difference between dictionary and a set, because set just only have a single element, not key value pairs. So dictionary is a key value pairs, and in some programming language they call it hash table. So now printing this out, so we can see that anytime when you type in the key, there must be a column in between before you write your value. So now we want to use key, checking for keys. So if you use this built-in method keys, you can see now that it's able to give you the keys in this uh, dictionary, just like name, organization, position, gender, contact. So it's able to give us, and if you want to get the value also, it's able to give us the value as abayomi, ijan, tutor, just like this. These are the value. We call these keys, and this value, they are key value pairs. So and also dictionary allow changing, so you can easily change. Just like now, the first thing here is gender is male, so we can change this gender to be female. So dictionary also allow you to change the element inside the dictionary. And if I rerun the cell again, you will see that gender has changed to female. So after that being said, update is also a built-in method for dictionary. So how can you use it? The update method insert the specialized item to the dictionary. The specialized item can be a dictionary or an iterable object with keys value pairs. So these are just like I said, they are key value pairs. We have name, which is keys, abayomi as value, and just organization as keys, ijan as value, position as keys, tutor as value, gender as keys, and females as value, then contact as keys, and this as a value. So now I want to update my dictionary with hobby. Just like in list, we use append just to add something to the end of that list. Now in dictionary, we use update to update what is in our dictionary. So using this, person is the variable name for the dictionary, then dot update, then I put hobby equals to eating and playing. So if I run it and rerun it again, you see that the last item here is contact, but now it has been updated with hobby, which is eating, hobby as keys, and eating and playing as a value. So that's just the function of update. Then also set default. The set default method return the value of the item with specialized key. If the keys does not exist, insert the keys with the specialized value. See example below. So these are the syntax for it, and this how you can use it. Person, just like the one we are working with before. So you can set a default by this. So occupations and data science. So when you run it and you run this again, you can see now that occupations as data science has already been added, just like how updated, just like how the update built-in method works. So it has updated our dictionary with occupation, which is occupation as keys, and data science, that scientist as the value. So let's take note of that. Then we have pop item. To pop item remove the item that was inserted into dictionary in version B. So in version 3 before 3.7. So the pop item method remove a random item. So the remove item in the return values of pop item method as tuple. So what is just like pop in list also. Pop help to remove an element in a list. Also in a dictionary, pop item also remove an element inside a list, and most of the time it always be the last item in that particular dictionary or list. It's only if you specify the index where you want it to be removed. So if I run this now and print the P, which is the P, so it's going to show that this occupation, which is data scientist, we can see that is the last element in this dictionary, and it's going to pop it out. So also we have pop method remove the specialized item from the dictionary. The value of the remove item is returned, and the syntax is just like this. So this how they've been used. So if we use pop also, is going to remove, and note that in list we use index in front of this, but now you have to specify the keys, not index. So keys is going to fetch out the value, and if I run it now, you can see now it pop out the female, the females, the gender and the female. So if you run it, you see that they will not be there again. You see that gender is no longer here again. So also keys method, so we've talked about the key method. So just fetching out the keys, and you can also fetch out the value also. So now you can see that when we run this key, is able to fetch the keys. So name, organization, position, contact and hobby. And also we have item. So the functions of item method return a view object. The view object contain the key value pairs of the dictionary as tuple. In a list, the view object will reflect any change done to the dictionary. So if you run this now, and you run it, so we've assigned this I to be the person's item. So you can see now that item print out everything in this format. So the function of item is to print out all the elements in that dictionary. And then we can use get also. So how can we use get built-in method? Get built-in method help us to fetch out a value for a certain key. Just like we want to know the values of organization. So we want to know the value assigned to the keys of just like what is attached to organization, or what kind of organization are we talking about. So when we run this, you can see that it shows us that the organization is hidden. So you can use get method to get a particular value from a key. And also checking for the position, you can see we can easily get tutor. And getting the contact also, you can use get to fetch the value for each specific keys. And from key method return a dictionary with a specialized keys and specialized value. So we can also use another built-in method called from key. So how can we use it? This is the syntax of using it. Print persons dot from keys, and we specify the name, and we specify the keys and the value, and we can see how is able to split those name, just like N is Abayemi A, so e split the keys to those specific value. And also another built-in method is copy. So from the word copy, we know that we use it to copy an item, just like now any item in all the items in person that we've been working with, we can easily use copy method to copy them to this C. So if you run it, so now if we print out C, we can see now that all the value in person has been copied to C. So copy method copy an element, or copy the element in a dictionary from one dictionary to the other. So you can copy all the elements to another variable name used for a dictionary. So if you print person again, and it will not affect it. So if you print person again, you can see that he has exact replicate of what is in C. And also the built-in method of clear, just like from the word clear, it clear all the item. So now if you want to clear the item in C, just like C dot clear, and if you click, if you run the cell, you can see now that there is nothing inside this dictionary anymore, just because we use clear forms, clear built-in method. So we can see it now. That's just all about this. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.